Karen feels entitled to praise for paying a bill. So, some rundown. I work in a call center. We sell furniture, and while customers can outright buy most of it, most finance through us for a markup similar to Aaron's but a little bit nicer. My department handles customer complaints and assists with warranty issues, stuff like that. Karen called in Thursday to file a complaint about the store manager at 6:55 p.m., and we close at 7 and have to be on the phones until 7 on the dot, so of course her call came into my line. She hesitated to tell me the issue, stating it was probably stupid and you wouldn't want to help me with it because you probably have better things to do. Now at this point, she has not told me anything, so I encourage her to open up about it, ensuring her that we care about whatever her issue is, and I'm happy to do what I can to help. She called the store to make her final payment on her account and spoke with store manager James. He took her payment, and when that was completed, do you know what James had the audacity to do? He thanked her for her payment. I kept listening, but I'm sure that I'm missing something. She rambles on about how she's excited to make the payment, she's been a customer for 20 years, etc., etc. At this point, I ask her to clarify the issue as politely as I can, and she again hesitated, saying it's not a big deal and she should let it go, and at this point I'm agreeing with her because I'm pretty sure I heard correctly, but I keep being a good customer service provider and press her for details. So did he say anything to you that was rude in regards to the payment? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm understanding. No, her complaint is that he only thanked her for the final payment. She called him back and she did not state what she said on this call, but apparently accused him of poor customer service, and she remembered he responded with, "How is that poor service? All you did was make a payment." Again, I'm mildly confused and cannot truly believe this is the last call of the day for me. I muted myself on the call and I'm expressing out loud to the team I'm in disbelief. Returning to the customer, she asked me what the protocol was when a customer makes a final payment, and I explained there's nothing solid in hand and sales associates and managers aren't trained specifically on that point. I advised that we could bring it to the attention of our upper management for coaching on improving customer connection, but James sounded like he acted appropriately. She continued, emphasizing again how she was a 20-year customer and how she felt it was bad business. I asked her if she could provide me of an example of what she thought would have been a better response. "Oh, congratulations on your final payment, and thank you for being such a long-term customer. Now that you've paid it off, maybe you can come see what's new in stock." I again reiterated that we could have it addressed, but they weren't currently required to say anything specific about payments being made, and added that I hadn't had similar complaints before. At this point, she gained momentum and is no longer questioning if she's filing a stupid complaint and begins demanding that it would be forwarded to the manager's boss. I advised that would be the regional manager, and she says she wants it reported to him and a call back from him confirming proper protocol for when a customer makes final payment. I advise again that there is no proper protocol because it's just general customer service, and also the regional manager isn't going to call back because this is a staff complaint and then internally handled. Basically, it's none of her business how we handle it from here. She repeats, volume increasing, that she either gets a call back from him or she won't shop with us again. I just repeat and she hangs up on me furious. I call out to my manager asking if I have to file this complaint, and she says no, we're not sending something that's stupid to anyone. We documented the call and that's it. And she's only been a customer for 11 years. Our system tracks and shows it. We all agreed that we would feel super uncomfortable as customers if we were congratulated in the way she described, patronized even, and she promptly became a meme for the next few days, where if anyone said anything like what we did in a form or something, we would say, "I'm filing a complaint on you because you didn't congratulate me." Yeah, I just feel like making the payments on the stuff that you bought is just kind of expected, and on top of it, I would be really annoyed if when I made a final payment, the guy was like, "Thanks for giving me all your money for the last couple years. Want to come give me more, you moron?" Especially if it's a place like Aaron's. That place is designed to rip you off, dude. Paying $200 for a month for 2 years for a couch is not a better deal than just $1,200 one time, okay? Places that sell you furniture with really high interest rates with low payments are definitely designed to rip you off, alright? Not to mention you making payments on a loan. The second you're out of debt, your first thought shouldn't be like, I better go get a new couch and get right back in.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you reach zone, wiping out. Making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be going over a bunch of stories I found on Reddit about entitled Karens. It should be pretty entertaining. You guys have been really enjoying these. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, but press the like button, otherwise no joke, no scam. Next time you're at the grocery store, you're gonna have an encounter with an entitled Karen, and let's go. Entitled Karen thinks she's entitled enough to kick us off whenever she wants. My dad's lifelong friend recently moved to a country club, so my dad asked him if we could have permission to go and play tennis, and he said yes, and the first few visits went well enough. On the fourth visit, when we were playing tennis, a Karen walks up to us and said, "You aren't allowed here. This is my court." We told her we had permission, and she said, "Well, I want it now and give it back." Keep in mind, there were 10 other courts and every other one was empty. And she said, "I don't care, and if you don't let me have it, I'm gonna call the police on you for trespassing and let my dog out." She had a German Shepherd on a leash. Obviously, the woman is stupid and doesn't understand that she would get arrested for doing that, so we say we're not gonna move. She tries to start coughing and spitting on us, and after that, we packed up and left, and she tried to steal our rackets, which wasn't too fun. While we were going to the car, she says, "Come back and wait for the police." And I said, "All right, Karen." And after that, she actually started telling her German Shepherd to get them. After 3 minutes of running to our car, sitting in it because Karen was blocking us for leaving, the police finally came. Karen accused us of trespassing, assault, and robbery, and basically said that we were doing what she was doing. We tell the police our side of the story, and we had the German Shepherd to prove it, and we got scratched by the dog and also proved it as well. They ended up diffusing the situation and telling everyone to go their separate ways, and we've been back since and haven't had any trouble. This lady literally was acting like a Call of Duty kill streak, calling in the dogs. My goodness gracious, I feel bad for that animal having an owner like that uses it as a weapon at the tennis court. I thought tennis was supposed to be like a peaceful sport. I don't know why in my mind, like really rich people play tennis, but I just assumed there wasn't a whole lot of people running around trying to steal rackets, sending their dogs after you at the tennis court. My goodness. Goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover. Or tennis by its racket, whatever you would say in this scenario. Karen decides that she is entitled to go first. For some context, my mom is an older woman who works her butt off constantly. Despite being in her 50s with arthritis, she's still able to do some serious exercise. She works as a delivery person, which makes her have to be able to drive multiple places on a tight schedule every day except for Sunday. She does this for 5 to 6 hours per day, and although she does sometimes get serious pain from the job due to our arthritis, she still toughs it out throughout the entire thing. Anyways, one day after she finished work, she went straight to do some shopping before returning home. In this shop, there were 2 lines, one for baskets and one for shopping carts and trolleys. My mom picked up a basket and went about her shopping, and she ended up getting her stuff and headed to the basket line. Bear in mind, there's a security guard walking around the general area. My mom is waiting in the basket line, which was way shorter than the other line, as there was only a few people in their line and 20 in the other. And when she's a few people away from scanning her item, she starts to hear some lady behind her ranting under her breath, and my mom thinks nothing of it and continues to wait. The lady gets noticeably louder, and that's when my mom turns around to acknowledge her. She was your typical Karen, haircut and all. She was surprised to find that this woman was talking to her, and she was saying stuff along the lines of, "Ignorant woman, don't you have any respect?" By this point, my mom's pissed, and she doesn't have the energy for an argument because she's exhausted. It's been one of the busiest weeks on the job, and she also noticed how she had a shopping cart, not a basket. "Excuse me, but I need to go in front of you because I've been waiting longer than you and I have mouths to feed," she said as soon as she noticed she'd got my mother's attention. What? Sorry, but I also have mouths to feed and I just want to get home," my mother replied, not trying to start anything or aggravate her. "Look, lady, I've been in the shopping cart queue for 20 minutes. It's ridiculous, and you've been here for 5 minutes. You're just being ignorant. Now let me past." The lady then stands there expecting my mother to move, but by this point most of the people there were watching and some even laughing, which didn't go unnoticed by the security guard. Let's call him security guard. He walked over and said, "What's the problem? This woman has taken my space in the line and I need to have it back," the Karen cried to him. "I'm sorry, what? I've been standing here and you came up to me asking to take my spot," my mother says, confused by her accusations. I suppose the guard either didn't care or didn't see the point in furthering the conflict and said, "Just get over it and let the woman pay for her things. You're in the wrong line anyways." And with that, walked away. And after that, my mom turned around as if nothing happened and the Karen continued to argue and just wouldn't shut up. I suppose other people were feeling annoyed because at some point someone from the opposite line sounded, "Shut the f up," and with that, Karen was quiet. At that point, my mom started laughing and paid and got out of there as fast as she could and then told me the story when I posted it here for everyone to read. I love how the Karen didn't realize that the reason the cart line would be longer is because everybody in it has more items, you know? It's almost like there's a reason they had a basket line is because there's less items and it will move way faster. I love people like this. "Well, I'm special enough to take advantage of everything. Everyone else, though, has to wait in that other line, except for me. I have mouths to feed." What do you think people are at the grocery store for, bro. Like, literally everyone here has a mouth to feed. At least one. Entitled Karen Meltdown. About 2 years ago, I used to work at a pretty large convenience store in the United States and worked in customer service. Needless to say, I got a lot of entitled Karens in that time, and from time to time, we would get people that wanted to send money to other people using Moneygram. One day, I got an older lady in her 60s who came in and griped about the line being too long. 2 people caked off that day, and it was just me and another girl, and she was annoyed, so I tried to ease the tension by being nice. She wasn't having any of it and snapped about sending money to her boyfriend, and seeing opportunity to make her day better, I started asking things like, "Oh, that's so sweet, how long have you been together?" Her eyes lit up with this chance to blab to a stranger about her love life, and she went on a long story about how she met this guy online, he's from the Middle East, they're madly in love, and she talks on the phone with him every week for at least 3 months. But unfortunately, he's been in an accident and needs money desperately before he can come to the United States to be with her. This sent red flags in my mind immediately. I've seen this scam hundreds of times before. Older woman looking for love and a scammer from another country taking advantage of them because the US can't legally do anything. The store was trying to crack down on these things, seeing as it was really bad at the time for some reason, and we were getting new cases reported weekly, even at our store. So I was told by management that we had to inform customers of potential scams to make sure they knew the person they were sending money to, and there was a training program we had to take, and they were not playing. I calmly told her that I had concern that this may be a scam and that we've seen this happen many times and I would hate to see it happen to her, and this sent Karen into a rage. She started screaming at me about how I'm a dumb child that knew nothing and couldn't possibly know her boyfriend because I've never spoken to him a day in my life, and that if I didn't send the money she'd get me fired, and then even started calling me names, and I ended up apologizing and sending the money quietly. I was the only full-time worker at customer service, so I was there 5 days a week, and I saw a lot of Karen. About 2 days later, she came in, sending more money to her boyfriend saying he needed it again. So I didn't want to repeat it, I sent it without questioning and just asked her how things were to pass the time. This happened another 5 times over the stretch of a month or so, before she came in crying one day. She walked right up to me and started telling me how her boyfriend had been a scammer and she needed her money back. I told her that I would have to call Moneygram and report the money had been sent to a scammer and there's nothing I could do for her and that she'd have to submit a claim with them. She lost it. She started screaming at me saying it was my fault that she got scammed and I should have told her, and that I needed to give her the money back right now or she'd be suing the store. I was in shock. I'd never experienced this type of crazy before, and I told her I had informed her the first time she came to see me and told her it was a common scam. She started screaming at me and I just calmly asked for the reference numbers for all her transactions and called MoneyGram. After an hour and a half on the phone, they instructed me to give her a form to fill out and mail to them so they could start a claim process, and of course Karen was mad, but she ripped the form out of my hand and left, and about a week later I heard from my manager she'd come back in screaming at another worker demanding her $20,000 or she'd sue the store for scamming her. She was escorted out of the store by police and given a warning never to return, and it felt good knowing I wouldn't have to see that entitled woman again. Listen, obviously I feel bad for the lady, I feel bad for anyone that gets scammed, but if somebody says, hey, this is a scam, and you start fighting with them, calling them a moron and insulting them, it's not their fault if you keep giving money and it ends up being a scam because they at least tried to tip you off. You know what I mean? The store needs to give me my money back. No, lady, they tried to warn you. You just didn't want to listen. This is basically just like every season of 90 Day Fiancé summed up in one story. Shockingly, there are not hot singles in the area that really want to meet you. I've upgraded to first class. Here's a little background. I'm an airline captain and I was commuting to work. I had purchased a full fare first class ticket to get there. I was living in Atlanta, but you know, my home airport was in Houston, so I had to commute. Normally, you could get a jump seat in the cockpit, but on this auspicious day, that was already taken. Pass riding wasn't an option because there was no seats in coach and only one in first. Pass riders can be bumped for fare-paying passengers, and I needed to get to work, so I plunked down my credit card and bought the last seat in first class. Boarding had occurred, and I was peacefully in my seat, waiting for pushback. You are sitting in my seat. You'll need to move right now. Nah, that's not gonna happen. This is my seat. Not happening, sorry. You're an employee, and you're sitting in my seat. Move now. Can I see your boarding pass? Clearly, there's been some type of mistake. You may not see my boarding pass. I showed that when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class now. Move. You're gonna need to resolve this with the flight crew then. I'm a passenger. The woman stomped off. She resembled an irritated Dolores Umbridge and returns with a flight attendant. Good morning, Captain. May I see your boarding pass? Sure thing, and I showed it to them. Ma'am, that's his seat. He's paid for it. Well then throw him off, dear. I've upgraded to first class and that's now my seat. I'll need to see your boarding pass, ma'am. You will not. I showed it when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class. How did you upgrade to first class? I've upgraded to first class and I'm more important than an employee, so get him out of my seat. Someone has called the cockpit and the captain has left the flight deck to come deal with this. Ma'am, I'm Captain Wallaby and I've just spoken with the gate agent. We certainly apologize for this awkward situation. The agent has corrected your paperwork and has a voucher for your future travel as well. Please go fetch your new boarding pass and your voucher and we'll be on the way. She departed up the jetway with a triumphant smile on her face. The captain turned to the flight attendant and said, "Prepare the doors for the departure." The doors closed, the captain returned to the cockpit and we pushed back for the gate and I could see the entitled woman pounding on the glass next to the jetway. It was a nice ride to Houston and the coffee was wonderful. I'm gonna give the pilot a huge dose of credit here because that's gotta be the smoothest way to take care of a Karen. Wow, that sounds great. Take care of a Karen when it comes to getting them off the flight, you know what I mean? Oh, if you just go out there and talk to the gate agent, they'll totally help you with this and give you a sick gift card. You're right, I will go get my gift card right now. Ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, you're halfway to, Houston by the time she even turns around and realizes the plane is gone, no gift card in hand. Enjoy the airplane or airport food court, lady. Ha ha, we're gonna go to Houston. Good luck rebooking your flight now. Deuces. Entitled sister-in-law stole our baby name and now she regrets it. To cut to the chase, my wife and I have spent 4 years trying to get pregnant before the wrong side of 35. We are currently 33 respectively now and are blessed with a wonderful infant son. My wife has a younger half-sister that she has been low contact with for some time. The woman is entitled and toxic and her mom's golden child. We've refused to let her or my mother-in-law in the house since they both blatantly tried to make off with my wife's jewelry box a couple years ago. The box contained a lot of valuable jewelry inherited from my wife's grandmother, and the jewelry is now in a safety deposit box as per my suggestion. My wife and I had nearly given up trying to conceive when it happened and we were ecstatic. After we found out we were having a boy, we started looking into names and I ended up suggesting the name of my Scottish grandfather and my wife loved it. So that's the name we settled on, but we made the mistake of posting on social media and to no surprise to the stereotype, my sister-in-law was pregnant too. And she was months further along than my wife and was also having a boy. She decided to claim my grandfather's name for her son, and it not just the first name, but the middle name too. We called her, pissed over what she was doing, and she smugly told us there's nothing we can do, in which she was sorta right. There was nothing we could do about it legally, because it's not a crime to steal planned baby names. We realized that drama was exactly what my sister-in-law wanted, and she thought that by taking the name for herself, we'd not be able to use it. I laughed and told her that while what she did was dirty and underhanded, we would keep our chosen name and she could just deal with it whether she decides to go through with copying us or not. Well, my sister-in-law's baby daddy called me and said I was being unreasonable for still not wanting them to use the name after they claimed it. I said she claimed nothing, and since we couldn't own the name, then neither could they, and before he ended the call, he threatened to beat me up, saying I'd be sorry if we didn't change the name, and then hung up before I could respond. Months later, my sister-in-law has a healthy baby boy and names him my grandfather's name. We did not show up for the birth, both because of the pandemic and because we didn't care to be there. The sister-in-law called wanting us to congratulate her, but we told her we didn't care, and that if she was still insisting we change our baby's name, then she'd be in for a big disappointment because we were not. She demanded I put my wife on the phone, but it was on speaker and my wife spoke up and said she agrees entirely. We weren't changing the name. She hung up on us, but soon started sending emails with text walls of names, even suggesting similar ones, and I responded back that the name was from my grandfather, and that's why we were not changing it, and she shut up, and we didn't hear from her again until after our son was born. 2 months later, we were blessed with our son, and he came out perfect, and we named him just as we intended. Well, no surprise, my sister-in-law called us a few days after the birth to scream in our ears that we copied her son's name. I pointed out she was the real copycat since she had no familial ties to the name and I did, and anyone who looks at our family trees could see that. Then my wife spoke and said after the theft of her grandmother's jewelry, she no longer considered her sister-in-law her sister, and we wanted nothing to do with her nephew either. For months, we were bombarded with messages and emails from my wife's side of the family. Half were on our side finding out the whole story, and the other half were not. And sister-in-law's baby daddy, true to his word, showed up at my door to make me sorry. I'm not sure what his plan was, but I pretty much towered over him. I'm 6'1" 6'1" and well-built from regular exercise and 3 trips to the gym a week. He, on the other hand, was very skinny and about 5'6" with baby face that was badly hidden by a slim beard. I told him my house has cameras and to get off my property and never come back, and he yelled a few obscenities and drove off in his beat-up old car. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law called us from a different number to yell at me for making him feel emasculated. I didn't even threaten the man, just told him to leave and not come back, and if he didn't want to feel emasculated, he shouldn't have come knocking. Then they tried to bring up the issue of the baby name again and demanded we change our son's name as he's so young and there's still so much time to do it. We held our ground and told them they were bonkers to still think they were in the right after they copied our choice of name just to try to get one over on us. I said she didn't even name her son out of love but out of spite and tried to stick it to my wife for no good reason. And then my wife called them both out on the way she was treated growing up and how entitled they'd both always been, and how she was so glad to leave them far behind and she wants nothing from them and they won't have anything from us. That left her sister sobbing and her mother insulting me, hanging up the phone. After that, it was no contact again for a while until she called us again sometime later to bitterly tell us we'd won. Her and her baby daddy got into a huge fight and he left. He was very sore that he didn't even let him give his son a middle name from his family and said he was sick of the bull crap and wanted his son named after him, not some guy he's not even related to. She finally caved in and they got the boy's birth certificate reissued with a new name, which cost her $500 or so she claims. She then demanded we compensate her for the name change plus another $100 for emotional damage because she's going to have to get used to calling her son a different name. We laughed and said this would never happen if she hadn't have stolen our baby name to begin with and we didn't owe her anything. Since then, we haven't talked to the sister-in-law or my mother-in-law, but my father-in-law, who's a very nice man for obvious reasons, is divorced from my mother-in-law, would come by often and loves his grandson. Honestly, I just don't know why you would want to name your kid after some random dude that's not related to you at all. Like, if you just like the name, fair enough, but if it's like your brother-in-law's grandfather's name, it is a little weird to just kind of nab that and slap it on your kid instead. I'm gonna name my son after my incredible grandmother. They're just like, that's a nice name. Yoink! Like, okay, you're kind of creepy in that situation, I can't lie. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I thought these were pretty entertaining. If you did think these stories were good, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Comment down below. If you don't know what to comment, go ahead and comment the word Karen. It just helps the video do better. If you really want to help me out, a link to the intro song will be down below, along with the link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or you could use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout. It helps you get a discount on G Fuel. Other than that, 2 more things that I gotta shout out. I do put some of my content up on Spotify, so if you want to go give that a listen, I'll put that link in the top of the description. I would appreciate you guys checking that out. And of course, you can also get the merch. That link's going to be at the bottom of the description, but you should definitely check it out because it's awesome and it's the coolest merch to ever exist in the history of the planet. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll officially do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.